Now, a very important distinction to draw, and that's why it's important to remember that these are little q's, not big q's, is that the distinction between firm demand and market demand. Firm versus market. And this is something which is confusing, confuses me at times. I may even get it wrong at times. I'll need you to correct me. Okay? Which is that even if a given firm faces perfectly elastic demand, it doesn't necessarily mean that market demand is perfectly elastic. Okay? That is, the overall demand for little fake statues of liberty, okay, little fake statues of liberty around Port Authority in New York is not perfectly elastic. Okay? As the price goes up, fewer people will buy them. The price goes down, more people will buy them. But for any given vendor selling them, it is perfectly elastic, because there's always someplace next door you can go. So it's very important to distinguish between the firm's demand, the demand facing the firm being perfectly elastic, okay, and the demand facing the market not being perfectly elastic. And the way to think about this is think about the concept of residual demand. Residual demand. Okay? So we have a demand function for a market, D of P. Okay? We have a demand function for a market, okay, which is that as the price goes up, demand goes down. Okay? Now, the demand function for a given firm, we'll call the residual demand, D super R of P, is equal to what? It's equal to the demand for the market minus the supply that all other firms in the market provide, S super 0 of P. The supply that all other firms in the market provide. So the demand for my product as a firm is my residual demand, okay, is the market demand minus what other firms supply. Well, if you differentiate this with respect to price, okay, you'll see that DDR dP equals DD dP minus DS0 dP. Okay? Well, this first one we know is the firm's own. This first one is the market demand curve. We know that's a negative number because demand curves slope down. We're not assuming Giffen goods. We know that's a negative number. But this is a positive number. Supply curves slope up. The amount that other firms in the market will supply as the price goes up is positive. Right? Supply curves slope up. So this is a negative number, but this is a positive number, which means by definition, this is a very negative number. Okay? That the firm's residual demand responds more to price than the market's demand does. Because the firm's residual demand is after all the supply of other firms. Okay? So we can rewrite this in terms of elasticities. So let's assume for a second that all firms are identical. Okay? Assume for 1 second when a market where all firms are identical that little q equals big Q over n. Okay? Assume all firms are identical. Okay? And so therefore, the amount produced by other firms, Q super 0, is n minus 1 times Q. Okay? So basically, the amount that's produced by other firms is n minus 1 times Q. So elastic demand facing a given firm, epsilon sub I, is n times the elasticity demand for the entire market minus n minus 1 times the elasticity supply for the market. Okay? So for example, let's say you've got a market with 100 firms in it. Okay? Not, a big market, but not outrageously big. We have plenty of markets with more firms than that. And let's say that the elasticity of demand for this market equals minus 1. So it's an in-between elastic and inelastic. Not a crazy number. And the elasticity of supply is 1. Okay? Let's just say that's the example. Then what you get is that for a given firm, if you use this formula, the elasticity of demand facing a given firm is minus 199. It's a huge negative number. Okay? So even though the market demand is modestly elastic, minus 1, it's elastic, but not crazy. The demand facing any given firm is crazy elastic. Okay? So basically the point is that even if a market does not have super elastic demand, a given firm can face very elastic demand, and that's what can lead to perfect competition. Okay? It's very important to keep those distinct. When we talk about demand, thinking about demand at the firm level versus demand at the market level. Okay? Demand at the market level That's about substitutability with other goods and the things we've talked about deriving demand curves. Okay, we derive demand curves. We're not deriving firm demand curves. We're deriving market demand curves. And so the demand curve was a function of elasticities and substitutability across goods. The firm demand curve is a function of all that, but also how many firms are in the market. Okay, if there's a lot of firms in the market, it's going to be very elastic in a perfectly competitive market.